Hello everyone. In this lecture, I want to talk about the project scope management. I want to have a discussion on the concepts of a scope and a scope management first. And then I want to introduce some project scope management methods and practices to you. What is a scope? A scope is a range of goals that a project should and should not work on. And a project scope management refers to a process of identifying those goals, make plans and policies in order to make sure our work stays in a project scope and our project team is able to accomplish those identified goals. The main purpose of performing a project scope management is to prepare the resources needed for implementing a project. Let's say we want to develop a statistical tutoring mobile app. This is our project goal. Then we start looking at what resources and activities we need in order to accomplish this goal. We need a developer. We need a graphical designer. We need a content writer for statistical tutorials. We also need a marketing manager for promoting our mobile app. According to this scope, we start looking for the financial resources and human resources before we start a project. If we have a good scope management, we can get a lot of benefits. Because we considered the resources needed for the project in advance, we can lower the risk of running out of resources, or we don't have the resources when we need them when we implement the project. Since a scope management plays a very important role, how can we perform such a management? A very important step is to develop a project scope management plan. In this plan, we need to identify how we are going to perform the requirement analysis. Then we need to define the scope. Next, we need to build a work breakdown structure. We also need to identify how we need to validate and control our scope performance. Let's talk about these steps one by one. The first step is to perform a requirement analysis among the future users and customers of the products and services produced by our project. They are the end users, so what they want should be the goal of our project. You can use a variety of methods to collect the users and customers' requirements. You can perform a one-on-one interview with them. You can distribute questionnaires among the future users and customers. Ask them which features should have in the future products or services. Some project managers also use observation as a method. Let's say I want to develop a new chocolate bar. Instead of using interviews or questionnaires, I will go to the grocery store, observe which chocolate bar, which taste is the best seller, and then I will analyze the weaknesses of the current chocolate bar, develop some new taste, give the new taste to future customers, let them tell me if they like the new taste. This is also a method of collecting the customer's requirements. No matter which method you use, finally, you should document the customer's requirements, needs, and what they want. The next step is to define a scope corresponding to each customer's need. We need to figure out what resources and activities we need to do in order to accomplish what the customers needs. Let's say we find out the customers want a self-driving car. This will be the project goal. Next, we need to separate this goal into more particular activities. In order to build a self-driving car, we need to build a vehicle first. And then we need to develop an artificial intelligence or an AI system that can control that car. Then we go to each division more specifically. Under the vehicle building division, we need to build the engine, we need to find the tire, the wheel, and so on to build the vehicle. Then we look at the AI development division. We need to find the developers. We need to build an AI system that can recognize the driver's voice, that can analyze the geographical data, and so on. Then we want to combine all of these specific activities and resources together. That would be the scope of our project. When our project starts, we want to look at and address each one of the specific activities and resources in order to accomplish the overall project goal. Some classmates may say, this process looks very familiar to me. Yes, when we talked about how to build a work breakdown structure or a WBS chart, we went through the same process. Actually, developing a WBS chart is the goal of performing a project scope management and developing a project scope management plan. The next step is to verify scope. You want to compare the work breakdown structure you built to the requirement analysis you did before, and make sure you have assigned the required resources and activities to the project, so that your project team is able to accomplish what the customers want. You can use a variety of methods to perform scope verifications. You can use your own judgment, or form or invite a panel of experts to help you estimate if you have assigned the required resources and activities. The next step is to develop a policy and procedure to make sure our future work stays in the project scope. A very interesting phenomenon is some project managers always want to add more into a project once it starts. Let's say a project team wants to develop a job-seeking website. The team wants to build a platform so that companies can publish their job opening information, and the job seekers can find the employment information on the website. Plain and simple, right? But a project manager may find social networks like LinkedIn get popular. So the manager wants to add the social network component into the website. Later on, the project manager finds that virtual interviews get popular. So the manager wants to add the online chat system into the job-seeking website. When the manager wants to add more, the project just becomes more and more complicated and difficult. The project team will never be able to complete the original plan on time or on budget. We want to avoid this issue. Adding new features is great, but we must take them into consideration when we draw the project scope. Otherwise, we must complete the original plan in priority and then start adding new features into the finished project.